Hi, everyone. I'm Melanie Naranjo, VP of People here at Athena, where we do everything from compliance training to hotline and case management. And I am thrilled to be chatting with one of our very own customers, Neil Vishvakarma, Senior Enterprise Security Engineer at Front. Neil, first and foremost, thanks so much for chatting with us. We love highlighting our incredible customers and sharing their stories with our wider community. With that said, I'd love to jump right in. So let me go ahead and intro you, and then we'll kick it off with some fun questions. Neil, for anyone who doesn't know, has been at Front for 2 years as the first enterprise security hire, which, by the way, very fancy title. I love it. Building out their program from scratch. He's collaborated with Front's people team to implement Athena's cybersecurity and data privacy courses and simulated phishing campaign. Very impressive. They recently completed their first phishing campaign, and Neil would love to discuss how these tests complement the courses to enhance an organization's security posture. Neil, me being on the HR side, I am particularly fascinated and excited about this call because I'm going to be learning so much, okay? When it comes to security stuff, I remember when I first joined Athena, they were like, Melanie, you must use Dashlane, and I didn't know what Dashlane was and was like, what do you mean it's one password to secure them all? I'm confused. So this will be a truly educational experience for me, and I really appreciate it. Okay, so Neil, my first question, if you're ready, how were you rolling out security training like cybersecurity, data privacy, and phishing prior to using Athena's courses?
So prior to using Athena's courses, we were using a kind of like a hodgepodge like uh training course. It was really simple, really basic. It's the one I started with at Front. And one of my core initiatives is like to be very people focused when it comes down to security. And I was like, we need to update this. And so I kind of like started dropping the hints. I'm like, hey, when are we going to be looking for a new security training? And does Athena offer one? Like, how is this? Can we get it a little? Can we get this working? Just to make our people more knowledgeable about security, and then they can apply that to their everyday lives, whether at work or at home.
Love that. So I'm curious to know, why did it make sense for you to consolidate your security training with Athena in particular? You mentioned Athena in your response, like, hey, are we considering Athena? Tell me more.
Well, first of all, no one wants another tool to implement at an organization. Having multiple tools just makes it a lot, like creates a lot of pressure, especially for your end users, because you want them to have a really good experience when it comes down to training, right? So having them go to another portal and try something else and just kind of like, it just creates too much friction. Our team really loved the initial training we got from Athena, like the harassment training and all that kind of stuff. And so, because it was easy, it was digestible. And so, like, if we can get the same kind of content from security training, let's do it. And it all just makes everything so much easier.
Love that, especially from the HR perspective, the words you're using, such as like digestible, it's so critical in terms of having actual impact. If your employees can't digest the information, if it's not relatable, right? Like if it's too hard or complex, it's kind of pointless to send the training because they're not even really processing the information that you're sending. So I super agree with everything you're saying, and it's really cool to see the sort of like HR and the security side overlapping. Actually, it sort of leads me into my next question, which is I'm curious to hear a little bit more about that relationship. How do you partner with your people team when it comes to this area of things, such as rolling out Athena training?
So we have like multiple trainings, right? So first of all, we don't bombard our team with like, here's a training, here's another training, here's another training. And so we kind of like the way Athena has the a way of like spreading the trainings out throughout the year is wonderful. And so we've kind of like made our security month, which is October, whenever we want to make any changes. So we do that on a yearly basis. So that's our cadence to be like, all right, during October, Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we're gonna like implement this new training. We're gonna do this. This is when our yearly thing comes. So it's like October is very security focused.
I love a good theme. We actually, you may or may not be familiar with this. One of our training nudges that you can send as a standalone for Athena is a Pride themed module. It's a mini module, and we send it around Pride Month. I think it's just like helpful. It stands out to employees. They're really paying attention. So I love that you're thinking about October and security awareness at that time. I'm curious to know. You recently rolled out your first phishing campaign with Athena, which is so exciting. Tell us how it went.
So yeah, fishing is a very like it's a very interesting subject because you have a lot of opinions about it. Some people love it, some people hate it, and there's someone in between. So trying to find the right flavor for front was the hardest part. And so just talking to other stakeholders within the organization, like, hey, we want to do this. We don't want to make anyone feel bad about doing this, but this is something that we want. This is a muscle that we want to build with our employees because you can take that and take it home with you. You can take it with your family because fishing and everything is like really big in our current day, in our current age. So what we did is I built out a full like rollout plan with benchmarks of like, this is what the baseline goal is. This is what we should be reaching in a year. And this is how we're going to do. We're going to up the ante a little bit every quarter and then slowly get to a point. So we're based off the industry benchmarks I looked at, if you do a baseline phishing test for our size of an organization, you should get like a 30% click rate. And over a year with consistent training, you should be able to get down to like a 5% click rate over 1 year. So in my email that I sent out to the org, I was like, hey, we're doing this, but we have a plan. We're going the quarter by quarter, and we're going to get from where we start our baseline. We're going to try to get a little bit better every quarter and see where we get in 1 year. And so that's the goal. And so it was really like, this is a team effort. We're not shaming anybody. We're not making anyone feel bad. We're just trying to get better as a team. And so all the comms are all about, hey, we did this. We're going to do this together.
What really stands out to me about your response is, really thinking about and understanding your audience. I think sometimes people forget that you can't just sort of talk at employees and hope that magically they will be as excited as you are, right? Like you really have to understand their needs, acknowledge that this might be a tricky thing or a time-consuming thing or a bothersome thing, and that you're trying to actively partner with them. So I really love that empathetic approach, and also, quite frankly, strategic approach, right? It's more effective if you can get that buy-in. And listen, I think it's working. I looked at your stats for your company, and it looks like you all have a 91% positivity rating. And so your employees seem to be won over by your argument. So well done there. All right, so Neil, before we wrap this up, I have one final question for you. For anyone tuning in who is maybe thinking about this, maybe thinking about a change, but if they went with a change, they wouldn't know what to look at. I'm curious to know, what advice would you give another security leader who is evaluating their current security training and whether or not it's effective?
For me, it comes down to content. If your team likes the content, it's going to be digestible and it's actually going to stick. If they don't like the content, it's just going to go in 1 year, out the other, and you're not going to get good results. So at the end of the day, if it's fun, if it's enjoyable, also if it's not too long, the Athena training are like nice and short. I've been in other trainings that are just long and dry, and it's just like, when is this gonna end? So yeah, it's got to be fun. It's got to be easy to understand, and it's got to have takeaways, which I think that the training does really well.
100%. And can I just say, I love that you said the thing. I think sometimes people think that, security people or HR people, we love all training. We don't love all training. We also sometimes find the training boring. We want better quality stuff out there. So I love that you're just talking about that point blank and putting it out there. Neil, this has been so amazing. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. Very happy to continue this partnership. We've been with you all for, what is it, going on 4 years now? So listen, let's make it 25 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. Let's just keep this relationship going. Neil, again, thank you so, so much. I'm really, really excited to continue partnering with you all.
Thanks.